Julian, with only Mike this time. We are a Mizzou basketball podcast that only talks about Mizzou basketball. We're one of the few, but we're one of the strong. Some people would say we have strong blood and strong wills. We usually go live on an instant reaction, but our producer Curtis was moving and I had some stuff come up on Saturday. So instead, we're doing this today, doing a quick what happened against LSU, a quick talk about Georgia, and then we will, of course, talk about Georgia tomorrow, though it is a late game, Mike. I don't know if you stay up that late. We have the 8 p.m. slot tomorrow against Georgia.
I'll be up. I'll be playing with my Pokemon cards. I'll be up.
We might lose Curtis on that one, too. It might just be me and you tomorrow. But let me tell you, we are experiencing some Jacqueline Hyde syndrome with the Tigers. They are playing really well one day, and then they come back to earth the next. And there's definitely some trends, and I think, especially in this LSU game, there's definitely some concerning things that LSU did that I'm worried if other teams try, what's going to be the Tigers' response, or was it just a bad game? So I guess we can kind of start there, Mike. Do you feel like there are some concerning things that are going to go game to game from here on out, or do you feel like this was just a bad game?
Probably just to chalk it up to a bad game. As decompress from it. I guess if you're not scoring in the first 5 minutes of the game, like it's might not just be your night. So that's kind of after the first set of sequences, that's whatever you want to call it. I just ultimately it's like, something's off, and then we made that push. I think Tigers are always due for a push, but we're always due to give up a push.
In both the LSU and Ole Miss game, they tried to give it back to us at the end.
Yeah.
And the Tigers, like against Ole Miss, it was like those 3 missed 3-pointers in a row. And against LSU, it was like when we really needed to stop, we couldn't get it anymore. There's just like no, and multiple possessions at the end of the game, LSU got 2 or 3 cracks at it. And of course, they're going to score at some point if you give them that many opportunities.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's concerning for me, I think it was a bad game, but the thing that I'm curious what will come out of this is it was pretty obvious that LSU's plan was to not let Mark do anything and to clog the lane as much as possible.
Yeah.
And Mizzou could not shoot itself out of it. Like I think of the first 5 shots, 4 of them were 3-pointers because they were open and they couldn't hit them. And so if that's happening, what's going to happen in the future? You know what I mean? And so I feel like every team should basically try at the start of the game. I think it's going to work better on the road than at home, where at home we tend to shoot better, but that was really ugly. And it felt like this was the first game that Mark had a bad game, like truly bad game. Mark has had some bad halves, or like half of halves, but he's usually at some point turned it on. And yes, he ended up with like 10 points because at the end of the game, he kind of scored. He scored at the end of the game, but like for the first 30 minutes of that 40-minute game, he was a complete and utter no-show. And it was very obvious how much the guy struggled to make up for that. And I think this once again highlighted the thing we've talked about multiple times now, which is the disappearance of Ant has been one of the most confounding things about this season. One of the most confounding things. I can't think of the last Mizzou basketball player who entered with so much hype and has completely dwindled in expectation. Like at no point in this season did I ever expect T.O. to basically play an entire half because Ant was actually unplayable. And shout out to T.O. He played well. Did he play amazing? No. And the lack of scoring from T.O. is really felt when he has to be like one of the prime, like when Mark's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I don't think T.O. and Mark are a great pairing because T.O. really wants to drive as well. But he did well enough that we had a chance. And that's really all you can ask of him. But for you, Mike, when you think about Ant, we were texting a little bit about what we think the issues. And you had some theories. What's your thoughts on Ant and the current season he's having so far?
Definitely, I don't know if it underperforms the right word. Maybe we were living just in like a little vacuum.
Yeah.
Of everyone in the show me state was like, oh, Ant's the second coming, like this year he's going to go off.
I mean, he had NBA first round draft predictions starting to tickle at the beginning of the season.
I don't see it now. I mean, even I guess the season's still young when it comes to conference, but I've been wrong before, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like digging into his like maybe we can do this can be an episode later on
Mm.
down the line, but like digging into his his career at Mizzou as far as like production and like um, his Bayesian defense and offensive value. Um, I think having a supporting cast that was just as good, if not better than him, I think really bodes well for a guy who's a creator and a playmaker and not someone who has to try to do everything. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's gone
Yeah.
down so much from like a legitimate like Evan Mia was very high on him being like a top 25 guy beginning of the year. Now he's I don't whatever I texted you 70 something.
Yeah. Has his defense fallen off according to the analytics?
Not too much. I'd have
It feels like his defense is still good.
Yeah, I'd have the like he's still hyperactive on defense. Yeah, maybe we can plan something out to kind of go through, his, him just being, I guess, just the focal point of the season, and then, or the preseason, and then having guys, step up, and you can make the argument that it's Stone and Mitchell now.
Yeah, I fully expect Stone to be the second scorer now.
Yeah,
and
cut
in LSU, he's the only one who could score.
Yeah,
and that's what I thought was weird was that. So that's what's dangerous about that is if Ant's not scoring regularly, with how the team's playing now, who's our regular scorer? Is it's Stone, Mitchell, and Pierce?
Yeah.
Because I think Cruz and Ant falling off is by far two of the most dangerous things for what could cause the season to really go off the rails. And I think it was interesting in the Georgia press conference, the Georgia pregame, the press conference they had the day before the game. Gates was very forward. I don't know if you saw this press conference, but he said, if Ant doesn't play well, we're not going to go far. And that's a fact. We don't have enough scoring for Ant to not get at least like 10 to 12 a game. Like, considering we thought he would be a much more active and direct scorer, that's tough. And the question becomes to me, has his play actually gotten worse, or has his role gotten too big? Like, one theory you brought up is that last year he was surrounded by better scorers, which allowed him a lot more space and opportunity to create. We definitely saw at the beginning of the season when Stone and Pierce were out, Ant couldn't do anything. Yeah. But my thought process was, great, Stone and Pierce are back, they're shooting well. Ant should be able to be his old self, and he still hasn't. That's the concerning part, is that the shooting has returned. Those guys are doing their part. They're drawing energy. Mark's drawing energy. So how is Ant not doing anything on the offensive end? That's what's frustrating.
Yeah,
and
he seems to like get out there, and then he's been out there 17 to 20 something minutes the past couple games. So like I don't know if it's Gates isn't seeing something that they've talked about. Again, obviously not in the locker rooms, but I'm sure that there's those conversations if Gates is going to say that publicly, that like, dude, you need to step up. And probably
I feel like Gates is always one to call out his point guards publicly more than any other person, just mostly because they're supposed to be the leader. They're supposed to be able to take it. Yeah. Then that leads us to Cruz. Cruz is confounding to me.
Yeah.
How he was shooting better under much more difficult circumstances, and now that I think what's crazy is he's missing what are ostensibly open shots. A lot of the shots he's missing are like good shots. There are some there's some he's forcing into shot clock, stuff like that. But like mostly like he's getting open and he's just clanking them. And that's like, that's the reason he's not playing. If you want to point to the reason his minutes have dove so hard, yes, he tries hard on defense. Yes, he does a lot of other small things well, but if he's not hitting shots, it's really tough for him to be out there. Especially because Stone plays him like, Cruz is supposed to hypothetically play the 3 or the 4, right? And 3, he gets beat off the dribble. 4, he's a little small against some guys. So it's like, if he's not shooting, you'd rather have Pierce in the 4 spot or Stone in the 2 or 3 spot than him. So, or not the 4 spot, I mean. You'd rather have Pierce out there because Pierce is just much more versatile than Cruz in all facets of the game. So unless Cruz is just shooting the lights out, why is he out there? And you're feeling that, which really sucks because we need like every job of shooting we can get.
Yeah.
Boat And then when Mark's not scoring and Ant's not scoring, you felt it so bad. Every possession felt like a freaking battle to get anything because Boats still can't shoot at all. Randall can't shoot. He tried putting Burns out there, and it's obvious why Burns is playing very much right now. And I just like, if Mark's not having his game, we're not winning a game.
No,
like we're just not.
Looking at the splits for Cruz, 3-point shooting wise, let's see. I mean, he had that spurt basically from like the entire year, literally from Howard to
all the way up to conference.
Yeah,
he was shooting really well.
And then it just dipped. Florida, he didn't take. He took 1-3 against Florida. Didn't make it. He took 3 against Kentucky, 1 for 3. Ole Miss 1 for 5. Auburn 1 for 2. LSU 1 for 4. Which that happens. Yeah, I mean it happens. Like I like this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a man. I wish I'll have to go back and listen to one of our episodes. I think it was the Kentucky one. Whatever the Kentucky announcer said about Mizzou was just like spot on.
Spot on.
Like, we're like confusing, chaotic, but like good, or it was some.
Mm-hmm. So that's the thing.
Something along those lines, and like even. Yeah, I mean. But like his first year, 24-25 Cruz, I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He was 34% from the field. Right now he's shooting 47, which is I think heavily front loaded on the non-con schedule.
Yeah.
So, but again, like I'm sure he had that transition over time over the summer, and he was gonna, I guess, in theory, be our shooter. I don't know. Still perplexing.
I'm wondering how much longer he stays in the starting lineup.
Yeah. I mean, the thing.
It feels like they love bringing Pierce off the bench.
Yeah.
It feels better bring Pierce off the bench than have Cruz come off the bench first. But it's like, we can't keep having these starts. Like we can't keep having these starts where like nothing's happening.
You can't like literally going from tip off to the 14:58 was when we got our first bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just can't go 5.5 minutes. Like, and I get like that basketball's a game of runs. Like, but from that point on, you were perpetually down.
Could never get closer than 5. It felt like every time we got to 5, it was
5 or 6, and then what's 10. Then they really kind of opened it up a little bit up to 11. Dipped it back down to 8, back to 10. Like it's just hard. We don't have.
And here's the thing: I don't even think you need to have Cruz sit. I would be fine with Pierce at the 5, and you open those 5. You open Ant, Stone, Cruz, Mitchell, Pierce, and then at the 17-16 minute mark, you take Cruz out, shift Pierce to Cruz's spot, bring in Stone. And that's Stone, I mean Phillips. And then you do your rotations from there. But like start the first 3 to 4 minutes of game time in your optimal shooting just to get offense on the board. Because here's the thing, like Phillips is so weird. He had that end of first half where he basically scored 8 points in a row and like 6 of them were free throws. I can't fault him from that. That was huge, actually massive. At the same time, it does not feel good when our offense runs through him or any shot is forced to him. If like there's no movement, if he misses, it feels like guys are just on the run. There's no rebound off one of his misses. It's just like, it doesn't feel great when Phillips is the main focal point of a possession. I'm not a fan of it. Even if it works out, it doesn't feel like it's a good choice. And so I'd rather not have him start. I'd rather Phillips come in than I think a better potential start, which is Pierce. And I have to say, the one positive LSU is that the guys all of a sudden shot amazing at free throws. Too bad it didn't matter.
Well, it's like we were back on par with how we were shooting last year, but then our offensive rebounds reversed back to.
That's the thing. And rebounding was one of the worst rebounding efforts they've had all season. It was since the non-con at least. It was bad. And part of it was that they played a lot of zone, in which oftentimes then during the penetration, the center would rotate over and then the rebound would come from the weak side. But it's like, if that keeps happening, you got to have a dedication to everyone just diving in for rebounds. Like stop trying to leak out. We just got to secure rebounds, because LSU had something like 15 second chance points. That's the game. The rebounding was the game. And we talked about this back when we were getting more steals. It was, you could balance it out. Steals are overcoming some of the rebounding. We're not getting the steals anymore. So I think you have to really dedicate harder to getting the rebounds. And the effort that we saw on rebounds in Florida and Kentucky was lost against Ole Miss and LSU. I think you directly see the results of those games reflect that. Defense, I think, was fine. It had really good moments, but the issue was the clutchness of the defense. When it really mattered, defense couldn't do it.
Yeah,
and that's tough.
They also shot. LSU had almost 60.
They had guys making threes at the end of the clock who aren't good 3-point shooters, and that's part of the game, right? That happens. Yeah, but you're in a situation where that's killing you.
Yeah, that's just like, I don't know. That may just be, it's like a give and a take. It seems like this season of like you beat the two best teams in the conference. You know, in theory.
And you lost to two of the worst teams in the conference.
Yeah, like that's just, it is what it is. Like,
and here's the thing: as long as you don't lose multiple times in a row, you'll be okay. And these two games against Georgia and Oklahoma. Shout out to Gabe DeArmond on Power Mizzou. He feels like the season's going to be defined by these two games.
Yeah. He's
like, if Mizzou wins these next two games, they're in a really good spot. If Mizzou splits them, it becomes, if they lose both of them, it's over. And I tend to agree that, like, Georgia at home, Oklahoma at home, it feels like you got to have these games. Both of them are kind of got to have games. Especially with so far the road outside of Kentucky being so tough. Now, shout out to Kentucky and Florida. They've made those ones look really good. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, really appreciate that. Florida beating a brand. Thank you. Yeah. But you have got, and Ole Miss too. Even Ole Miss won. So, like, great. We need to beat Georgia. We need to beat Oklahoma. And I think the tough part for this team, I saw some chatter about this on the Mizzou Twitter spaces and Mizzou boards. Some people feel it's really frustrating this team is inconsistent, that they'll have an amazing win and then a terrible loss. So it feels like there's no momentum. Yeah. I feel like there is some momentum. I can get where that feeling comes from, but also I feel like that's like 85% of college basketball teams will play amazing games and then just have some real stinkers. And all depends if do you somehow get the stinkers and you still win the stinkers. Mizzou hasn't won their two big stinkers so far of conference. That's the tough part. Any other thoughts on that? I think the last thought I have in the LSU game is, once again, this game reinforced our feeling that there is no real depth to this team. You can't rely on Boat, on Pierce, on Randall, especially offensive. And when it comes to the offensive load, you're getting absolutely nothing from Boat, Pierce, Burns, and you're kind of hoping that T.O. can get 8 to 14 very tough baskets where he's driving and doing some insano moves. But it's like, where is Ant not playing well, Cruz not playing well? It will kill this team if that continues. Any other thoughts coming from the LSU game, Mike?
Not really. I would have liked to see the Tigers press more. I think that's why I texted you guys.
Man.
Was that props to T.O. Like,
came
in. I think he does a fine job running point. I don't know if he's ready to, like, take the helm and guide the ship, but I think for what he's doing is, you know, he played 28 minutes and played 16 minutes. Like, perfect. Not gonna bitch about it. The pressing, and then I think the guys who were just obsolete Burns, Boat, Mac, just
they even gave Mac some run. I meant to say they gave Mac. That's how desperate they were. I was texting with one of our friends who was like, "These rotations make no sense." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Our coach just watched 5 minutes of complete pants shitting and went, "I gotta just put some guys out. Like, I gotta try something." Like, of course, like that's the game you play Mac, because you're like, buddy, if you want to show me something, now's the game. Everyone's playing like butt. And then he didn't do anything. So it's like, okay, never. He'll get another chance in 3 games to show me something. But
yeah, I mean, we shot significantly better in the second half.
But so did LSU. LSU also
so
shot.
But it's like that. It's that what I talked about a couple shows ago about like making the most of these possessions. Like if you're still gonna, turn the ball over or whatever, or miss free throws, we didn't obviously in this case, but those 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes of possessions that you didn't score, it would have been like, man, I sure as hell would have liked to get a half a point of possession,
Yeah.
Close to an efficient one, but
I would have loved. Yeah, I agree with that. I would have loved pressing. They had no point guard. I would have loved to play 40 minutes of hell. Even if it was like a soft bullshit press, just to make them take 8 seconds every time. But like when they pressed, they almost got 2 10-second calls on them. Like it felt like overthinking it. Now, or I don't know how to say it, but it's almost like, well, that's not our game, so we're not going to do it.
Yeah,
it's like if there's anything this team has, it's the defensive bodies to throw at that.
Yeah.
Like I felt like that would have been the right move.
Yeah, I mean, you could still put. It'd be interesting. I mean, there statistically, like when it comes to defense, there's almost no. I'll have to double check with me before people jump my bones, but like statistically on defense, there's not a huge gap between like Cruz, Boat, Burns, Randall. Like, not to pick on Cruz, he's way more offense than defense, but yeah, you have the. But again, those guys just didn't even pan out. So I kind of see the little bit more reserved like aspect that Gates is going with, but I don't know. It's a interesting year. Like I'm still quasi optimistic because again, if you don't shoot 30%, 33% from the field in the first half and 22% from the field in the first half, or from the 3 in the first half, like it's probably a different game. If we're within 4 or 6 points, but like, and then nice little comeback. But
on the flip side, we got Georgia coming up. We're not going to do a huge deep dive. More of just for people who check this podcast who aren't massive listeners, who don't watch a lot of SEC ball. How would you describe how Georgia plays? What do you expect from them, Mike?
Fast, run and gun.
They've hit 100 points multiple times in SEC games.
Yeah,
and the opponent does too. They don't play defense. They just play offense to the extreme.
I mean, their defense is still KenPom top 50. Like maybe it's front loaded on these.
Blood donors.
Yeah, but like I was looking at one of their past box score. When they played Tennessee Tech, granted Tennessee Tech, so everyone can relax. They scored 123 points. I don't care who you're playing.
That's so many points.
That's almost 3 points a minute. Like,
are you right? And Georgia has one of my favorite named players, Blue Cane. Blue Cane. Now that's a real Southern guy, Southern white boy name, Blue Cane. Who's like on his senior year, he's shooting the lights out. So shout out to Blue Cane.
Yeah. No, their tempo is second in the country. They play very fast. They're getting the ball up sub 15 seconds on the shot clock. So it'll be an interesting matchup with the Tigers, who are.
Do you think Mizzou wants to run with them, or do you think Mizzou wants to slow it down?
My guts tell me that as they all sit around eating their Shakespeare's pizza and their high chai tonight, they're probably wanting to slow it down and play their game.
I agree with that as well.
I mean, that's not.
I don't think we have the offensive horses to run up and down and gun it. I think we're much better. Our personnel is much better to slowing that down and grinding it out.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, I mean, we saw it worked against us against Drake. Drake wanted to slow it down. So like, I love those types of matchups. But this is, this will be like a coaching type of game where
Hmm.
you'll have to have your ducks in a row, so to speak, if I'm Gates.
Yeah,
And but
I would
again, it's a
I would love to see a huge focus on going for their rebounds, both offensive, defensive, and just like crashing boards super hard. Like I feel like there's two ways to prevent runouts. One is you barely send in rebounders and you just go back super hard defensively, and that's how you slow it down. And the other option is you go super hard for rebounds and you keep scoring off rebounds so that you can set your defense up to score.
yeah,
I like the Mizzou personnel is much more set up to just go get the rebound with the height and the athleticism. Like use that. You built the roster for that. Go use that for your advantage. That's what I'd like to see this game.
yeah. No, I mean, and I guess that and like taking care of the ball, like Georgia
Hmm.
doesn't.
Do they have a high steal rate, Georgia?
Um, they're like 138. Um, so like that's let's see where give or take, it's about the same as our steal rate. Um,
Yeah, I think against Georgia, I'm just looking.
or no, they got
Can,
I'm sorry, they're top 50. I apologize. They're top 50 in steals. They don't turn the ball. They don't turn the
mm,
ball over. And that's something that's like where Mizzou is. We're 260 out of 364 or whatever on our turnover rate.
yeah,
Non-steal turnovers have been killing us.
yeah. That's what to
Which
say. I don't feel like our guys are getting their pockets picked. I feel like it's bad passes or
yeah,
dumb
yeah,
fouls that hurt the most,
and that
or like someone will have to dribble and not ready and they like travel or something like
yeah,
that.
which is like hopefully that can just kind of cease. But you gotta take care of the ball because like they're
Uh,
gonna make the Bulldogs are gonna make the most out of every possession as far as getting a free throw, basket or a three
yeah.
pointer out of every one. And I think that's where we gotta get better
I
at.
I believe deeply in my bones that Mark's gonna have a great game. I'm looking to see, can we get a game on a Cruz or Ant?
Yeah,
That's This feels like the game Cruz should be able to let it fly a little bit. This feels like the sort of game maybe Ant can finally get going, but like for me to feel better about the season, I need to see one of them have a good game.
yeah. Like it's a. I think there's a world where both of them can get going. It's like
Mm.
if Ant gets going and is driving, or if it's shooting, defense is sagging off, leaving someone open, whatever. And then if Cruz, dished out the Cruz heats up, they start cheating out there. Ant can drive. Like I think
Yeah,
it's a.
I think
I just
that
would like to see both of them play a lot better than I think what we were
that's
led to believe
that's
or expected.
that's by far the weirdest part of this Ant phenomenon is that it feels like last year, and there's been moments this year as well where he navigates the pick and roll so well. He drives really well under control. I feel like he did a lot last year. He had a lot of moves off the dribble. That just seems to it will just go away. Like all of a sudden he just can't drive anymore. I'm sure there are like higher level basketball defensive knowledge about why that's happening that I don't see because I'm not a guy who grew up in the coaches room or something like that. But it's like from my very average basketball fan viewer eyes, he's not doing that as much, and that is a big reason why this team is very Jacqueline Hyde because the less guys you have that are consistent, the more how good a team is just depends on if a guy who is just hits or not, as opposed to here's what we know we have, here's how we game plan through that.
I mean, he's just been very interesting. Like since conference play, um, he was in that 35-minute
Mm,
mark, give or take, for Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi. Then Auburn dipped to 26. LSU dipped to just under 17 minutes.
mm.
Um, Still shooting the ball about the same, give or take. Florida, he played really well.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think the Tigers take this game against Georgia, Mike?
yeah, I Mizzou, like we just talked about right before
Mm.
we hopped on. Like Mizzou plays well at home. Like for those bettors out there, just bet Mizzou at home, bet against them on the road. Like it just seems how it's been right now.
Yeah.
Like to put it,
Hmm.
comically. But I think they. I would.
I could see this being a very close game all the way to the end.
I
I have no idea.
a good old fashioned rock fight. Um, it's fine with me.
Who has the biggest rock? That's the question.
Yeah, find out.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks that's going to be our short and sweet LSU reaction Georgia preview podcast. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
As we react to what is hopefully a Tiger win. And hopefully we have a lot of great things to say.
Yeah.
Signing off. No Curtis here to do the alums of Georgia, which I'm sure there are many. But
yeah, I'll ponder it while I'm sleeping.
All right.
See you guys tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night.